In the previous video, we have been discussed about the introduction about linear ICs and their features. Also, the technologies involved in the IC based on the number of active devices in a chip. So in this video, we will be discussing about the basic planar process. The basic planar process, it is a technology used for fabricating IC in an IC industries. So the basic planar process involved 9 steps, 9 process. First one is silicon wafer or substrate preparation. Second one is epitaxial growth, then oxidation, photolithography, diffusion, ion implantation, isolation technique, metallization, and assembly processing and packaging. So these are all the general steps involved in the fabricating ICs. We will be discuss one by one in detail. First one is silicon wafer preparation. So this is the first important process in IC fabrication. Is the formation of silicon wafer through the crystal growth. This process can be subdivided into number of sub-processes as shown in this slide. Silicon crystal ingot growing, ingot trimming and grinding, ingot slicing, wafer etching, wafer polishing, and wafer cleaning. The primary method of the crystal growth is Sosrowski method. In practice, all the silicon required for integrated circuits is prepared by using this method only. In general, a phase change from solid, liquid or gas solid phase is nothing but growing crystal. That is, initially the silicon is in a solid form. So when we are heating at a particular temperature, it will be melt and it turn into a liquid state. So this formation is nothing but growing crystal. The apparatus used for the crystal growth is called Sosrowski crystal growth apparatus or puller. Here the puller is here. The puller has 4 important subsystems, namely furnace, crystal pulling mechanism, ambient control, and control system. The simplified version of Sosrowski crystal puller as shown in this figure. The seed which initiated the crystal growth is separated from the circular ingot. The top and bottom ends are also cut off. As silicon is hard and brittle material, industrial grade diamond is used for shaping and cutting it. This process is called ingot trimming. After completing ingot trimming and grinding process, the ingot is ready for next process, that is ingot slicing. The slices of the ingot are called wafers, and typically the thickness of wafer may vary from 0.4 mm to 1 mm. This process is very important as it is necessary to maintain a flat plane and desired surface orientation. If the sliced wafers are to be used for VLSI application, then before etching process, 2 slided mechanical lapping process will be carried out. Using this process, wafers with uniform flatness are achieved, which are mostly required for photolithography. And after etching, the wafer is polished to eliminate the micro cracks and debris. The silicon wafers are cleaned using chemicals. So these are all the 5 steps involved in silicon wafer preparation. In the initial step itself. So the next fabrication step is epitaxial growth. The epitaxy means arranged upon. In epitaxy, a monocrystalline film is formed on the top of a monocrystalline surface. Thus, epitaxy is crystalline growth process in which the foundation layer, that is substrate, was a seed crystal. So the silicon crystal is acting as a seed crystal here. The epitaxial growth of pure silicon can be represented with the help of following chemical reaction. The basic chemical reaction in the epitaxial growth process of pure silicon is the hydrogen reduction of silicon tetrachloride. This is the diagrammatic representation of epitaxial growth process. Here, silicon will be placed and around induction coil will be rotated. Oxidation. The process in which a thin layer of silicon dioxide formed on a surface of silicon wafer using thermal growth technique is called oxidation. In the planar process, it is essential to protect certain regions of surface of the wafer so that the dopants atoms may be driven into other selective regions during the process, such as diffusion or ion implantation. For such shielding purpose, silicon dioxide is best suited. So this oxidation step will be used for protecting purpose. The next important step process is called photolithography. To produce extremely small circuits and to develop patterns on the silicon wafer, the process adopted is called photolithography. Conventionally, using ultraviolet rays, it is possible to produce devices with dimensions of 2 micrometer. Nowadays, using electron beam lithography or X-ray lithography, it is quite possible to achieve dimensions of the devices less than 1 micrometer. Basically, the photolithography process is subdivided into two processes, namely photomask generation, pattern generation or lithography, and etching. Wet etching is of two types, wet etching and dry etching. Wet etching is done by using chemical reagents and dry etching is done using plasma. These sub-steps involving photolithography by using UV photolithography process in which the UV wavelength used are in the range 0.3 to 0.4 micrometer. The minimum device dimensions are lying with limited around 2 micrometer. With the advent of X-ray and electron beam lithography, it became possible to produce dimensions down to submicron range, that is less than 1 micrometer. So in here, we are having SiO2 layer, oxidation layer here. First, we are having substrate and then SiO2 layer. Then after that, on the top of the SiO2 layer, the required pattern will be drawn, and on the top of the pattern, we are having mask. So in the mask, we are exposing the mask with a light source, UV or X-ray. When we are exposing the light source on top of the mask, the required portions will be withstand and the rest of the portion will be washed off. So the required pattern will get formed, will get produced. So this is the process of photolithography. Next, diffusion. The process of doping, that is adding impurity to the silicon wafer, is called diffusion. Diffusion is used to form bases, emitters, and resistors in bipolar device technology and to form source and drain regions in mass device technology. So, in general, diffusion is used to create the terminals. So which one is drain and which one is source, like that. The dopant can be added into the silicon wafer by using one of the most commonly used methods. One is diffusion from a chemical source in a vapor form at very high temperature. Second one is diffusion from doped oxide source, and third one is diffusion from ion implanted layer. A schematic representation of the diffusion process as shown in this figure. The silicon wafers are stacked vertically on a movable quartz board inside quartz furnace tube. The temperature of the quartz furnace tube is increased with the help of the resistance heaters. The dopant to be introduced is kept in a container. The dopant in the liquid form, example, a potassium chloride may be placed, phosphorus chloride may be placed inside the quartz tube in low temperature region, or preferably outside the tube with precisely controlled temperature. In the liquid form, typically nitrogen and oxygen are used as a carrier gases. So inside we are placing potassium chloride particles, and as a carrier gases we are using nitrogen and oxygen, and to maintain the low temperature here. So this is a procedure we are used in the diffusion process. Next process is called ion implantation technique. The main objective of the basic ion implantation is to direct a beam of dopant atoms with appropriate acceleration and energy to the silicon substrate. The schematic diagram of a typical ion implanter are shown in this figure. Silicon wafers are placed in a vacuum chamber and are scanned by a beam of high energy dopant ions. That ion may be boron for p-type or phosphorus for n-type. The ions are accelerated by energies between 20 kV to 250 kilovolts. As the ions strike the silicon wafers, they penetrate by some small distance into the wafer. The depth of penetration increases by increasing accelerating voltages. So these are the ion implantation technique process. The next important process is called isolation technique. It is important to provide isolation between these components electrically. So in this IC, we are having many devices, components. So the isolation between each and every component is called isolation technique. The most commonly used isolation technique are p-n junction isolation and dielectric isolation. The selection of the isolation technique in fabrication of any IC depends on the application of the IC. That is for general purpose applications or specialized military applications, p-n junction isolation will be replaced. Then metallization. Metallization is a process in which a thin layer of metal is formed, which is used to make interconnections between the components on the chip, as well as interconnections between the components and the outside world. The metallization process takes place in a vacuum chamber. The material to be evaporated is placed in a resistance heated tungsten coil or basket. A very high power density electron beam is focused at the surface of the material to be evaporated. the evaporated molecules hit the substrate and condense there to form a thin film coating. And etched away aluminum etched away from unwanted places by using HN like phosphoric acid. So this process is called metallization. Then after completing all the fabrication process, several chips are ready on a wafer. Each of the chip is nothing but a complete circuit. Now, the next step is to separate out these chips and package them individually. Using a diamond-tipped tool, lines are scribbled along the rectangular grid on the surface of the wafer. The wafer is cut off along the lines drawn using the sharp diamond-tipped tool. Thus, individual chips are separated from each other. Then each chip is assembled on a suitable packages. So, like this, all the ICs in a wafer will be cutted by using diamond edge cutting tool and assembly all the ICs and pack them for the specific application. It's called assembly and packaging ICs. For comparing and accessing different packages, features are considered maximum pin count, dimension, pitch, encapsulating material, mode of mounting, plated through hole or surface mount, and maximum power dissipation. So these are all the various factors. Based on these various factors, we will be having different packages. Metal can packages, ceramic flat packages, dual inline packages. So metal can packages having 8, 10 or 12 leads, and the body of the metal can packages consist of metal material. Like that, similarly, dual inline packages, we are having the body is made up of plastic and flat pack. The chip is enclosed in a rectangular ceramic case with a flat leads. So these are the different IC packages. Metal can package, the body is made up of metal, and the dual inline package, the body is made up of plastic, and inside this plastic chip, the plastic cover, we are having the chip. Inside, we are having the chip. Then the third one is the flat packages, is having their lids in a flat manner. So different types of application, for different types of application, the type of the metal, the type of the packages will be vary. For example, for high power applications like power amplifier, voltage regulators, metal can packages will be used. And for PCB board connection or breadboard connection, DIP, dual inline packages will be used. And for specific applications, certain applications like airborne application, we are using the IC. We have to use a reliable IC. So for that application, flat package will be very useful. So based on the application, the packages IC type will be vary. Here, I have mentioned some of the IC manufacturing industries: Fairchild, National Semiconductor, Motorola, RCA, Texas Instruments, Cybernetics, and Burr Brown. And in this video, we have discussed about the basic planar process while fabricating IC in most of the IC industries. In the next video, we will discuss about how each and every device, for example, resistor, capacitor, transistors, diodes, and all, will be integrate in an IC. So the integration steps of diode, resistor, capacitor in IC, we will be discussed in the upcoming videos. Thank you.